Hello and welcome. Today we're going to work on some lateral plane of motion. So we're going to work into the side body. We're going to start off on the floor and we're going to work our way up to standing. So let's start off with just an easy sitting position. Maybe get those shoulders moving a little bit. You can always lift your sit bones up onto a block or a folded blanket if you're feeling tight in your hips. You can adjust your feet and legs in any way that feels good. We just want to feel those sit bones pressing into the ground, giving us a little bit of rooted security. And we'll just walk our hands forward and round the back. It doesn't have to be any kind of intense stretch, just enough to feel the back of the body opening up, especially when you inhale. Sliding those hands up, taking them behind. Holding the shoulder blades together, opening up the heart, and taking a breath or two here. Feeling that expansion, maybe bending the elbows, pointing them back behind you, really stretching in to the shoulder area, maybe even the upper part of the arms. Just getting ourselves prepared, waking the body up. Come back up to seated, placing your left hand down, right arm comes up. Just feel a little side stretch here. Notice if you're pulling your shoulder forward and see if you can pull it back. So with your arm up, you are not blocking your view of what's above with your arms back behind. It's going to focus more of that stretch into the side body here, which is what we're going to be focusing on with our lateral plane of motion focus today. We'll come up and take it to the other side. Notice any differences from one side to the other. Keeping both sit bones pressed in. See if you can get a little taller through the spine. Coming back up, add a little twist here. So we do want to always prepare our bodies, even though we're going to focus in one plane of motion. We want to prepare the body by giving it a little attention in all the planes of motion. So we'll start getting into the hips a little bit here. We're going to be on our sit bones. We're going to be seated at first, but I'm going to just give a little movement to the hips. Play around with one leg, moving that knee in and out, and then over to the other side. Notice any differences in flexibility. All right. So in our seated position, we're going to take that right leg nice and close to the torso, and the left leg's going to come out to the side. Readjust so you can feel both sit bones pressing in. And we want to turn so our shoulder lines up with the leg. We're going to go sideways here. And in order to help, because you will notice this tendency to want to twist, in order to help keep that, we're going to place the back of your left hand against the inside of the leg, and we're going to push. We're going to drive that heel of the extended leg down into the ground. And we're rooting it there. So as we press, we're going to feel that nice torque, that twisting there. And then reach up, nice and tall, as if you're trying to get up above the ceiling. And then slide this hand down sideways. You don't need to go too far. This is a revolved knee to head pose, Parivrtta Janu Shirshasana. You can play a little bit here. See if you can keep everything along that extended leg rooted, as well as the opposite sit bone. And you're going to feel this lengthening from the top of the hip bone to the bottom of the ribs. And gently come up and take it over to the other side. So if you're finding that you're having a little too much tension, maybe in your low back, you can always come up against a wall. So I'm going to come to the wall for this second side. So I can feel myself. There we go. I can feel myself pressing against the wall. Still in a press. Lift my arm up, and I'm going to see if I can keep this shoulder pressing in and push my sit bones in nice and tall. So you can play around with that. See if that helps create more sensation in that side body. Nice. So now we're going to take it up into a little bit more of a challenge, because we're going to lift our center of gravity up onto the knees. I'm going to extend the left foot out, put the foot flat, toes pointing forward, and squeeze the inner thighs together. So really wanting this thigh of the bent leg straight up and down, and using this extended leg to really grip into the ground, engage through the legs, so that now I'm creating this stability, just as if I was sitting on the ground, but I got to make some muscles work here. So I'll take my arms out to a T, drop the fingertips gently to the extended leg, and start that side bend into gate pose. Now sometimes I have an easier time feeling the lengthening here as I drive through my knee and reach up through my fingers. See if you can get a little bit more length up in your gate pose. Look up at the sky, make sure that you're not blocking your view. And coming up, nice strong core, switching to the other side. Lock in the legs first, squeeze the inner thighs together. Lower body is locked in, arms to a T, dropping those fingers to the extended leg, and then reach, 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 and then find that side bend. You might notice one side doesn't reach quite the same depth as the other, and that's okay. We use this as a practice, as a tool for awareness. Trying side to side. All right. So now we're going to take it to the feet. You may have already guessed what our lateral plane of motion pose is going to be based off of what we just did. We'll take our feet nice and wide, turn the left toes out 90 degrees, soft micro bend in the knees, and we start to squeeze those inner thighs together. So front foot, the whole foot is engaged with the ground, but really think about driving that big toe, the base of the big toe, into the ground. With the back foot, The whole pinky edge side of the foot is really grinding in. So we have a little bit of this inversion in our foot. And then squeeze those inner thighs together. Reset in the feet, squeeze the inner thighs. A little more challenge here in the lower body to keep that stability. Arms out. We're going to reach so that we can feel the hips stack. So we don't want the hips to stay parallel to the floor. We want that left hip to stack underneath. And then we can reach down. Again, keeping the shoulder back. Oh boy. A little bit deeper here. A little bit more difficult to get to the ground. So you can come up and back into it. Feeling that nice pendulum swing in the hips as you come up and down. You can always use your block to help lift the floor up. Let's take it to the other side. So we're just going to rotate the feet in the opposite direction and then reset back in. Pinky edge of the back foot, ball of the big toe on the front foot, soft micro bend, squeeze through the inner thighs. Notice how that shifts the weight in the feet. Go back to the feet. Open the arms up, reach, tilt the pelvis, and find that triangle pose. Again, Trikonasana, a great tool is to use the wall and think about wanting this top hip and shoulder to be kissing the wall. Just a nice, light kiss. And then again, up, tilt the pelvis, take it back. That is extended, which sometimes helps it be a little bit easier to get down to the ground and still keep that, that posture in alignment with the legs wider, but it can be a challenge to the inner thighs. All right. So coming back down, we'll be finding a tabletop and taking a couple of cat-cows. Adding a little side to side or a full barrel roll before sinking those hips back to the heels. Sliding the hands up. I like to reset the body, especially if I'm working one plane of motion for a long period of time. So we're going to start with the foot pressing into the inner thigh, that extended leg. We're going to square the hips to that. We're going to reach up nice and tall. And then let the belly reach towards the thighs, the chest towards the toes. So this is knee to head pose, Janu Shirshasana. Stretching through the hamstrings. Ideally, we want the back to feel released, but we're not focusing the stretch into the low back. Oftentimes, can create this stretch through the sacral area, which we really want to avoid. There's a lot of connective tissue in there. So you can always lift your hips up on that folded blanket to help tilt the pelvis, bend the knee slightly. The idea is that we're keeping our chest towards our toes. Come up, and we'll go back out to the revolved knee to head, our Parivrita, Yoga-Traci. Maybe after doing gate pose and triangle pose, you feel a little more able to sink deeply to the side there. And then I'm going to tuck this foot that was close to my torso back towards the opposite glute and bring my foot up and over. And you can place your foot anywhere that you want, but the goal is that we still feel both sit bones. We can just give it a nice hug, the knee to the chest, stay nice and tall. You're going to feel a lot of sensation in that hip and glute. And if you'd like some twisting motion through the spine, reach that opposite hand back. Looking back over the back shoulder. Drawing the belly button back towards the spine. Tall through the spine. And we'll unwind. Unwrap the legs and take it to the other side. So Yoga-Traci. Reaching up, finding that forward fold. Noticing if one side has a little more or less flexibility than the other. Using your breath to guide the depth of your fold and focusing that stretch into the belly of the hamstring. Bringing it back up, taking the leg out to the side, revisiting that lateral plane of motion in our revolved knee to head. You can hold it here as a static stretch, or you can play around with that dynamic up and down. And then taking it into that twist. A little bit of compression, root both sit bones. Give it a big hug. And sometimes this is the perfect amount of sensation. And stay with whatever sensation feels right for you. And then we'll take the hand back and around if you'd like to add that spinal twist. Inhaling tall through the spine. And exhaling, twisting deeper. And gently release. So we're going to go back into our seated position. And once you've settled there, I'll ask that you switch your feet and just take a few breaths. Move those shoulders around. Settle into the sit bones and notice any awkwardness from switching to the other side. Feel free to close the eyes or allow the gaze to travel down the angle of the nose and find a spot on the floor. And take a few breaths, just settling into the sensation of your body. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that deeper movement into the side body, as well as some of those fun beginning and ending poses that just kind of get us moving in all three planes of motion. Looking forward to seeing you all again, and have a great rest of your day.